Mickey Rourke was once known as the face of smolder in Hollywood, and his sex appeal helped him gain tons of roles. But as the years went on, Rourke's face changed for the worst, and he was known more for his botched surgeries than for his acting or boxing. And today on Beyond the Screen, I'm going to be breaking down how he changed his looks over time. I'm Mackenzie, and let's get into it. In his younger years, Mickey focused his attention on sports, and he became an amateur boxer at the age of 12, fighting under the name Phil Rourke. But after a few concussions, Mickey decided to take a break from boxing and give acting a try. In the 1970s, he played small roles in big-budget films. Then in the 80s, he became a bona fide star when his looks got him cast in seductive movies like Diner, Rumblefish, and The Pope of Greenwich Village. Like Marlon Brando or James Dean, Rourke's face had soft feminine touches, blurred with, rugged manliness. And like those actors, his looks were short-lived. After a few years of being a Hollywood hunk, Mickey slowly started to detest Hollywood, and he even slammed his fellow co-stars and directors in the press when talking about his movies, saying in 1992, quote, "You go through the motions of feeling it, but you know the studio owns the public owns your so over a period of 8 years, you slowly lose your spirit in a way." And it seemed that his anger towards the industry manifested in him finding a way out in the form of boxing. In the early 1990s, he started boxing often, while still booking movie roles in between. But because he was a big star, he boxed with a lot of pros, and he was getting regularly hit in the face. Something that obviously isn't great if you are a movie star. Some think the reason that Mickey got back into a sport that he knew would change his face was a way to rebel against the industry, as his face was the reason he was successful, and he started to resent the pressure the public put on his looks. This same thing was felt by Britney Spears when she shaved her head, with her telling a tattoo artist at that time, quote, "I don't want anyone touching me. I'm tired of everybody touching me." And at that time, shaving her hair was her way of getting back in control of how she looked and giving a big middle finger to those that wanted her to look a certain way. And then only after a few short years of boxing, the damage was done, and Mickey looked very different than the Mickey that we knew from before. He broke his nose twice, snapped his cheekbone, and damaged his ribs and toes. At the time, everyone around him was telling him to stop boxing, as there were fears he could get permanent brain damage. But since he was acting around the same time, after he got hit in the ring, he would have to quickly fix it before getting back on screen. So he underwent tons of surgical quick fixes around this time and made his face look even worse. In a few scenes from the 1990 erotic thriller Wild Orchard, Rourke's cheeks are noticeably swollen, with people speculating that he got cheek implants, which Rourke denied, saying it was because of tooth surgery. And after years of botched surgeries to fix his face, in 2009, he even admitted that his botched surgeries were the reason he was unrecognizable, saying, quote, "Most of it was to mend the mess of my face because of the boxing, but I went to the wrong guy to put my face back together," admitting to having 5 operations on his nose because it was broken twice, then also admitting he went under the knife for a smashed cheekbone. After all the botched surgeries, Rourke's reputation turned from that of a young, talented star to a washed-up has-been. At this time, it seemed his whole life was on the decline. He wasn't working much, was spending insane sums of money, and was in a toxic marriage, with his marriage to his Wild Orchid co-star, model Carrie O'T, dominating headlines. Speaking to The Times in 2011, O'T spoke of the strange dynamic in the marriage, saying, quote, "It was a paradox. I was afraid of his violence, but I felt a responsibility to protect him. I will always have a really sweet spot in my heart for him. I was so pleased he got the Oscar nomination in 2009. Around this time, Rourke was also reflecting on his departure from the film industry, saying in one interview, quote, "I had my career going about 10 years ago in the right direction. I started not liking the business and not liking myself. I was slowly self-destructing at a pretty fast rate. I felt like I didn't belong doing what I was doing," meaning the acting. "I felt some sort of guilt about being successful at it." Then in 2008, Rourke was a part of The Wrestler, which was his most critically acclaimed performance, getting him an Oscar nomination. This then led to other opportunities to get him back into mainstream cinema. But yet again, this was short-lived, as Rourke started trashing some of his projects after The Wrestler, like 13 and Passion Play, admitting he did them for money. And of course, after that, offers dried up, not only because of his trash talking, but also his appearance was the worst it had ever been, with his face looking botched and leathery due to bad Botox and surgery, but also his body not looking like what it once was. In 2009, for a bout with Elliot Seymour in Russia, which marked his first professional fight in more than 20 years, and he won in the second round from knockout. After that, he gave up boxing for good and tried to get his look back in order, and by about 2014, he was looking better than he had in years. His face that before looked leathery and stretched now was looking tanned and toned, with him growing out his goatee and a mustache, and his hair was long with him rocking silver hair extensions. Then posting an Instagram photo in 2014 with the caption, quote, "Now I'm pretty again, one more to go," showing that he had just gotten a nose job. But his look changed yet again a few years later, and in 2019 when he appeared on the Piers Morgan show, fans were tweeting that the person they just saw on TV looked nothing like Mickey Rourke. I'm not sure what he did since 2017, but clearly at that time it was making him look very unnatural, and he's kept that same look ever since. Since we talk about changing looks a lot on the channel, I thought I would try and break down the changing looks of Donatella Versace over the years, although it's not an easy feat. In 1993, when Donatella was 37, is when she was first introduced to the fashion world as Gianni's sister. She had naturally smooth skin, full lips, and there were some faint wrinkles around her eyes and lips, as to be expected. Then a few years later, in 1997, when she was 42, she stepped out again, this time looking even younger than she did in 1993, with some of her wrinkles being smoothed, we can assume from Botox. But she still looked like herself then, no drastic changes. But it looks like she started really changing her looks with fillers or other procedures in around 2002, with one doctor commenting that it looked like she was getting filler regularly at that point, with her lips looking noticeably bigger, as well as her wearing heavier makeup more regularly. And it seems that from about 2002, the procedures just got more frequent as her face started to change fast. Then in 2005, she stepped out looking slightly different again. The most notable difference was her tanned skin. Around this time is when she also revealed that she had been struggling with an addiction to coke for the last 18 years. Because of this, Versace checked into rehab in 2005. Post-rehab, her tan got a lot darker, and she sported drastically different lips compared to her naturally full ones. The new look would go down in pop culture infamy as the quote, "trout pout." And I don't know much about how drug use affects the face, but I can assume after 18 years it would make your face look quite a bit different. Then in about 2011 to 2014, Donatella took a turn for the worse and started to become unrecognizable. Doctors were not sure of what caused all the changes, but closer to 2011, her face seemed rough, kind of paper-like, but then in 2014, her forehead was glassy, a sign of too much Botox. And she actually admitted in 2013 that she does use Botox, adding that she, quote, "doesn't believe in an all-natural look for women." Also around 2011, one doctor noted that her lower face started to look strange, with her lips still getting bigger. The doctor said she might have had a lower face or even neck lift too. Then in 2014, her eyebrows started to droop, another sign that she might be having too much Botox in the forehead, and her forehead muscles were not working as they should. Also, her lips and mouth in general seemed to just get larger, and at this point she was unrecognizable from the Donatella we knew from 1993. Also around this time, Donatella admitted that she stopped working out with a trainer because they, quote, "wouldn't let her smoke." So clearly not taking her long-term health into consideration. And a long-term effect of smoking is sagging of the skin, especially around the mouth, so that could be why that happened to her. And these days, Donatella's waxy skin, smoky eyes, trout pout, sculpted body, and platinum hair have become her most recognizable features. As well, many doctors think that the lasering of the skin could also be the cause of her waxy and shiny looking skin. Now to weigh in on what exactly doctors said about her botched transformation. HollywoodLife.com asked plastic surgeons what they think Donatella's had done to her face. Plastic surgeon Dr. Steve Fowle said, quote, "she's pretty much had it all. Botox, fillers, lasers for the skin, minimal recovery time for those, though there can be some redness of the skin for a few weeks with laser therapy," adding that she also might have had a brow or facelift. Dr. Bruce Katz, based in NYC, had this to say, quote, "she has had her cheeks augmented, probably with filler, and certainly her lips have been filled. Her eyelids are a little droopy. I think she's had some bad Botox because they look like they are drooping. Maybe a little too much Botox in the forehead. She certainly can use some filler in her earlobes, they are very stretched." Then Dr. David Rappaport agreed with his colleagues, saying, quote, "from 2002 on, her face seems to have more artificially defined fullness, where now her lips seem to be overinflated. Most recently, it seems very clear that she's had a facelift scar that I can see in front of her temple area. You can see a fine linear scar. Her face looks more taut and tight. She's clearly undergone facelift surgery, perhaps overinflated cheeks and lips." He also added that it doesn't look like her nose has ever been done, but that there's a potential that she's had more than one facelift because of how unnatural it looks. Donatella is currently 65 years old, but because of her cosmetic changes, many people think that she looks much older. Also because some say she was addicted to tanning for years, this has also caused tons of irreversible skin damage that has also deteriorated her skin and made her prematurely age. But there's one thing for sure we can know about her looks, and that is Donatella's signature platinum blonde hair is not going anywhere.
Priscilla Caputo was an aspiring model from California looking to make it big in the industry. As many people in the industry do, she got plastic surgery to enhance her appearance. I'm sure we're all aware that the modeling industry is very picky when it comes to the models that they promote, so there is unfortunately a lot of pressure on people to look perfect, even though realistically there is no perfect person. Anyway, Priscilla was a little self-conscious about her looks, and she told sources, quote, "I'd look in the mirror and see somebody who needed a little more help," end quote. Priscilla started getting fillers primarily in her lips to enhance their size and shape, but unfortunately she didn't know at what point she should stop. Before I continue on with the video, please do consider leaving a like on the video to help support the channel. We love getting your feedback, so please go ahead and smash that like button. Priscilla told sources that she didn't realize the monster that she had created until it was too late. Her boyfriend at the time was a plastic surgeon who performed the procedures on her, but he never advised her to stop getting fillers. Priscilla said that he never said to stop, so she just kept going. It wasn't until she posted a selfie on Facebook that showed off her drastically changed looks that she realized what she had done. Soon she was going viral for her altered appearance, and she became an internet laughingstock. Gone were her chances of becoming a model because she had pushed the limits of cosmetic alteration too far, and her appearance, both physically and socially, were changed forever. Priscilla ended up in therapy because her tarnished appearance took a severe toll on her mental health. She revealed how her looks caused her to become deeply depressed and wanted to end her own life, saying, quote, "My life turned into a nightmare." Priscilla is now using her experience as a warning for others, saying that those who are looking to alter their appearances should rethink their decisions, saying, quote, "You'll be much happier if you stay with what nature gave you," end quote. Her plastic surgery not only took away her happiness, but also her prospects of becoming a model, as she had once aspired to be. Her opinion on plastic surgery has definitely changed from when she first started, and has said, quote, "I can't look at these pictures of myself without crying, but I'm willing for people to see them if it helps just one girl avoid the path that I took." It's so sad to see the toll that these cosmetic alterations have taken on this woman, but luckily she's in a better place mentally than she was before. Her lips have returned to a normal size after stopping her collagen treatments and other plastic surgeries. Amanda is a transgender model whose drastic looks are really quite famous, and a lot of people are curious as to how that happened. Amanda has said that she has the most expensive body in the world because of how many procedures she's had, and has opened up about the times that she's gone under the knife and how her life has led her to this point. It's quite an interesting story, so let's dive into how Amanda Lepore drastically changed her looks. Amanda's memoir, Doll Parts, really dove into her life and legacy, and we learn a lot about the American socialite, from her upbringing to where she is today, and the surgeries that gave her her signature look. Amanda wrote that she was born on November 21st, 1967, and when she was about 10 years old, she saw something on TV that changed her life. There was a program on TV that talked about gender confirmation surgery, and so after watching it, she went to her parents and told them that she wanted one, saying, quote, "I was a girl, it was a fact, it wasn't a conscious decision," end quote. She opened up about her early life, saying that her family wasn't very welcoming of her identity, saying that she drifted from her family quite early in her life, so as you could imagine, Amanda telling her family that she's trans did not go over well at first. At the age of 15, Amanda was looking for a community, and she sort of found it. She met a go-go dancer named Bambi, and in exchange for hormone pills, she traded sequin garments that she handmade at home. Before long, Amanda was starting her transition thanks to her bedazzling skills and help from Bambi. Though she was ruthlessly bullied at school, she continued to embrace her identity by coming to school all dressed up. Amanda would say that when she's really done up, she feels happy and mentally well, as opposed to when she's more dressed down. And this started very early on in her life, which could explain the over-the-top looks and personality. Before I continue on with the video, I just want to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on the video if you are enjoying it so far, because it really helps us out. At this point, embracing her femininity, Amanda's mother began accepting her daughter for who she was. Buying her makeup and clothes, they grew a bond as her father and brother disapproved, and basically went out of the picture. It was then that she dropped her birth name, adopted her new name, and began her life as Amanda Lepore. At the age of 17, she met a man named Michael who was 10 years her senior and still lived at home with his parents. They fell in love, and after revealing to him that she was transgender, he supported her, and they made the steps towards getting Amanda gender confirmation surgery. Paid for by Michael's father, Amanda got the procedure done and married Michael a year later. Things didn't work out though, as Michael forced Amanda to become a housewife and he abused her. She later left him and went to live a life on her own. After leaving her husband, Amanda moved to New York and found work in the club scene. It was here that things took off for Amanda for a number of reasons. Firstly, she became part of the culture in the city. She watched as club life and entertainment changed over the years. She watched as trends would come and go, and this really shaped her as a person. She met some influential people and rose up in the ranks of fame, acquiring connections and some money here and there, but her true fame came when she met photographer Dave LaChapelle. Amanda soon became his muse, and in a way he lifted her out of the confinements of the club scene and brought her into true fame. Soon she was being brought to parties, meeting more influential people, and being featured in magazine spreads for publications like Playboy and Visionaire. She started making more money and began investing that money into herself. As she started her plastic surgery journey, her look became more and more unique and drastic, to the point where she was no longer famous for being a model, she was famous for being herself. Just like how Kim K is famous for being herself and having her famously large booty, same goes for Amanda being famous for her drastic bombshell look. Over the years, Amanda got a number of procedures done. Some were free and others were paid for with the money that she earned through modeling and being a socialite. One of the first procedures that she got done was a nose job when she was just 15 years old. Amanda said that this surgery was done for free by a doctor that she met in a club, and that she got the procedure done to slim down her nose. She also technically got her gender confirmation surgery for free, as well as her ex-husband's father is the one who paid for the operation. She said that this operation totaled around $10,000, but since her father-in-law footed the bill, she didn't have to worry about the cost of that procedure either. Though she started off receiving her hormone treatments from her friend Bambi for trading sequin bikinis, she later had to start paying for her own treatments, maintaining her routine since she was 15. Other procedures Amanda has had done include her hairline lowering and eyebrow lifting procedures, where she got these done to create the look of a smaller forehead. She's also received double eyelid surgery to make her eyes look bigger, cheekbone augmentation to give her face a more heart-shaped look, lip augmentations, and corrective lip reductions because she actually went a little overboard at one point. On top of that, she's also received a number of breast augmentations over the years, gradually working her way up to a double D cup, and she's gotten rib reshaping surgery in Mexico because the procedure is actually illegal in the US. This operation is where doctors break the patient's bottom ribs and push them in order to create a smaller waist shape. Amanda has spent tens of thousands of dollars on plastic surgery over the years, and she doesn't seem to have any regrets about it, other than the lip augmentations that went a little overboard. She writes in her book that there isn't one way to be trans, just like there isn't one way to be a woman. She compares herself to Caitlyn Jenner, saying that she's the complete opposite, saying, quote, "After seeing the Caitlyn Jenner show, I think my book is an alternative to where you can be hyper feminine and enjoy not being so serious." She says it's fine if you don't want to wear makeup and dress up, but the larger than life things are what make her happy, and that's also okay. She supports those who want to transform themselves into the dream version of themselves, saying, quote, "I like women who transform themselves. It's what I do. My high is looking fabulous." Preach, girl. Though yes, Amanda's look is a little out there, it's eye-catching, and I guess that's exactly what she was going for. Though she says that she has a hard time dating because of who she is and what she looks like, she seems to be fine with it because she's happy with herself, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters.